Hey guys, Dr. Rich here from Optimal Spine and Joint Center, and today I'm just going to extrapolate on a post that I had up on Facebook and Instagram today. The post was about disc herniations in the lower back and how the structure of the spine dictated the fact that somebody would have a higher risk of getting a lumbar disc herniation in their lower back. And what this study found was when you look at a spine from the front, it didn't really matter too much from which side the person leaned to in terms of shifted, we call translation of the spine, where it actually moves from side to side. It didn't really matter what side, that didn't really affect as to which side the disc herniation would be. Now, does that 100% line up with what we think? Maybe. You know, we have a high risk of getting a disc herniation. A lot of people have one leg shorter than the other, so the spine will drop down to one side, so they are creating more pressure on one side, and hence a chance of disc herniation on the opposite side. But again, because disc herniations can occur either traumatically or can occur non-traumatically through like degeneration of the spine, chronic sitting, not enough core strength, overweight, things like that. You know, side-to-side translations of the spine may not be the biggest factor in whether somebody's going to get a disc herniation. Okay. What they did find, however, was from the side that when people were forward in their spine, there was a higher risk of that disc herniation, and when the person's spine was straight. So again, we're supposed to have a curve in our lower back. That curve in our lower back should be the shape of an oval, okay, like a piece of an oval or an egg. I always tell people it's like a piece of an egg. And the angle here, when we measure from L1 here to L5 off the back on an x-ray, should be about 40 degrees. And then the angle of the sacrum, okay, which is here, and when we look at it from the side, there's an angle here, and that angle should also be 40 degrees. Well, when we have that 40-degree curve, the weight is sitting correctly through the joints here, okay? It's sitting correctly on the back of the disc tissue here. What the study suggested was all the people that had disc herniations, their spines were either shifted forward, so now instead of the weight going on the back of the joint line here, it is now going in the front of the joints here, on the front of the discs, and it's putting more pressure on the front of that disc. And think of it like your disc is like a sponge. It's pinching the front, and now it's pushing it out the back. And they also found that this lumbar disc herniations were also commonly found with people losing that 40-degree curve I just talked about if the spine was flat. Well, if their spine is flat and not necessarily moving forward, again, they're displacing that weight through the disc tissue more than they are through the joint tissue on the backside here. So this is exactly in line with our current thought process as well. And you know, it's always nice to see a research article that matches exactly what we're talking about to patients day to day and explains it in a scientific feature. Now, one thing I'll have to say that that makes us very different from everybody else that's out there in Oman and in fact the Middle East, as our clinic is the only CBP clinic in the whole Middle East, not just Oman, is our goal is not just to try to relieve somebody's pain when they have a disc herniation, but try to also restore their spine back to have that normal 40-degree curve in it. We do this through, again, exercises to loosen up and warm up the spine and strengthen the muscles. We do this through adjustments to retrain the brain, and we use 3-point bending traction to try to bend. So you can think of a spine being too flat. We will have a person in a table that then puts some strain and stress and tries to slowly bend the spine back to its more normal alignment over time. Now, a lot of clinics here and worldwide will do decompression, which is a table where the person lays down, they stabilize the pelvis, and then the table is pulling across the person. And the goal here is to separate these joints. And by separating the joints, we're creating room for that disc to then be kind of sucked back in, like a vacuum, like a negative pressure situation. We're sucking that disc back into its space. And while that may be great for some cases of disc herniation, generally speaking, that'll be better for the cases where there's too much curve in the lower back or a normal curve in the lower back and a person has a disc. In a case where the spine is very, very flat and we try to make it pull and we try to make it flatter, they may feel pretty good while they're in it. But when they stand back up, now they're loading those joints incorrectly, and they're going to lead to, again, the disc just bulging back out. So it's super important that we try to bend the spine and we try to put the curve back in that person's spine. All right, guys, Hopefully this helps with that article I posted today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message us, leave comments below. You can get in contact with us and set up an appointment if you want. It's 944-88-583, or sorry, 580. 583 is my number. At 944-88-580. Also go to www.OptimalSJ.com. You can also book your appointments online. You do not need to call our office. You can actually just do it online with yourself. Obviously, it helps if you speak English. All right, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you like what you're hearing, please hit subscribe in the buttons below.